Mode.
Hi and welcome. We've got an absolutely amazing turnout today. I'm really, really excited. Of course, this webinar tonight is talking about how you can train, prepare, and run a marathon successfully. Now, just like to, just while I'm waiting for a few people to turn up, I just wanted to have a little chat with you guys today. Thank you so much for taking the time out this evening. I know many of you are probably an hour ahead. I'm actually based in Queensland, so it's 7:30 here. I know there's probably people in New South Wales, and there might be people all over the world as well. So thank you for taking the time out. Now, one of the reasons why I decided to put together this webinar is as some of you guys may know, I run a marathon training Facebook page, and I started that Facebook page over a year ago. Now over 5,000 fans on it, which are all you guys and that, and it's going really, really great. But it was just in the need that I have, with people just asking a lot of questions about running and preparing a marathon successfully in that. And I just wanted to sort of put together this webinar so that I could show you guys how to do this. Also, I've put together training programs as well, which I want to introduce you guys to tonight. You see, what's happened in the last year, especially since I started that page, is I have had a lot of questions and I've helped a lot of people, and I want to help so many more people. My aim, guys, is seriously to get the world running marathons. I absolutely love it. I'm addicted. And I've done all sorts of other sports. And I really want to get everyone out there doing the same thing. And you know what? It is absolutely 100% achievable to everyone, or for everyone, to be able to run a marathon. So you know, that's my aim. I want to spread marathon to the world, get everyone out there running it, and and doing it as a community. So as all of us helping each other and supporting each other. It's absolutely amazing. Anyone who's ever run a marathon before, you are truly amazing. Anyone who's preparing to run a marathon, you are truly amazing. You guys that are on this webinar tonight, you're truly amazing because you're taking the first step. Okay. So now, hopefully, we've got most people that are coming on. They'll be coming on throughout, but I will carry on because we've got a lot to cover tonight. Over the next, I'm expecting, it depends on how many questions you guys have, but I expect that this will be about 45 minutes to an hour, although I do get very excited and very passionate about this topic, and I know you guys too do as well. So just to let you know what we will be covering tonight, we will be covering how to train smarter, not harder. You just would not believe how many people I speak to on a daily basis who are training in various sports, and just the things that they do, the hours that they're putting in, the time and the effort and stuff. Yes, you do have to put in time. Yes, you do have to put in effort. You kind of have to love what you do as well, but it doesn't have to take over your whole life, and you can certainly get huge results in a shorter space of time. And that's what I've done over this last year. Over this last year, I've cut probably about 40 seconds off my, actually, yeah, 45 seconds. I did it within 6 months, or about 4 to 6 months, off my per kilometre pace. And it was all through some of the smarter techniques of running and some of the stuff that I'm going to show you here tonight. But I'll get a bit more into that later. We're going to be talking about setting goals, because at the root level, running a marathon, you have to set some goals along the way. And one of those goals might actually be that you're going to run the marathon, and actually setting when you're going to do it. Also, we're going to be talking about marathon training programs to ensure that you actually reach those goals as well. Of course, nutrition. And one of the things I asked a lot of people who were on my Facebook page is, what is it that you want to know? A huge number of people came through and are really, really confused about what to eat, when to eat, how to eat when training for a marathon, and also on race day as well. So we're going to be talking about all those things as well, because you don't know what you don't know. And we'll also be talking about injury prevention. Now, I'll go into a bit more detail, but it's amazing how many people I know get injured whilst running, or injured in any sport. I should touch wood here, but I don't. And I'm going to show you some of the things that I do that mean that, that have made sure that I don't get injured. And we're going to talk about race day prep as well, because this is the big day, and a lot of people, imagine if you put in all that effort, you've put in all the effort towards your marathon goal, and then you do something wrong on race day. So we're going to be talking about how you can actually make sure that you have the best race day ever, and so that you're all prepared for that, and also the mindset, because at the end of the day, none of the other stuff really matters unless you've got it between your ears. They say, I think it's either 80 or 90%. I'm not the best with statistics, but it's between your ears when it comes to things like that. In fact, it's between your ears when it comes to most things in life as well. So we're going to be talking about mindset, and also some little secret sauce to get you across the finish line. So there's little secret tips and tricks that you might not be aware of. Some of you guys might be, but some might not be. So first of all, I just wanted to cover a little bit of housework before we get started, just so that you guys, who some of you may have used GoToWebinar before or been on a webinar, some of you might have not. So just to cover, what that control panel that you'll be staring at is all about. Okay, but first of all, I'd just like you guys, if you've got your mobile phones or mobile devices on, not that I can hear them because all you guys are on mute, but more that I've got a lot of things to cover. I don't want you guys to miss out on any little bits of information that I've got. So please turn off all your mobile devices. Give yourselves time to sit down and educate yourselves. You're allowed to. I know that most runners out there don't actually give themselves 5 minutes just to sit down. It's now you're allowed to, okay? If you haven't got a pen and paper, just quickly go grab some and take some notes along the way. I'm going to ask you to write down a couple of things. So make sure that you are taking notes along the way, and allow yourself to be present in this. I've got some really, really great information, and hopefully it'll make the difference. And some of it could make the difference between you actually being successful and crossing the finish line, and perhaps not, and being one of the ones that's going to hit the wall or get injured, which is what we don't want. Now, there's another little thing in front of you, that little control panel. It's got, just to show you, you'll see it on my screen here. This is what it will look like for you guys. You've got a little arrow here. Actually, what I might do is I might get my little mouse clicker so that you guys can see it. You've got a little arrow here. If you push on that, it'll close the control panel up and the arrow will be facing the other way. If you push it back out, then it will come back out again, okay? Most of the things on my slides should mean that you should be able to have that control panel up. It shouldn't really block anything. Now, also, there's this little hands up facility here, okay? So what I would like you guys to do, just to let me know that you can know where this hands up facility is and know how to use it, just let me just check everyone. Could you please put your hands up if you can see it? Got a few hands. Oh, excellent. Yep, most of you guys are got that right. Now, I'm just going to put all your hands down now at the facility to be able to do that. So if you've, and another thing I need you to show you is the question box down the bottom here, okay? So if you've got any questions along the way, please type them in the question box. Now, I'm manning this webinar by myself tonight. Sometimes I have people sitting in on me and they do the legwork, so they let me know what questions are going on. So I won't necessarily be able to see all your questions initially, but what I'll do is I will open it up for questions at the end. So if I'm talking at any stage and you've got some questions, just type them in the box there. If it's urgent, just put your hand up and I'll be able to get to you. I'll go in and check the question box along the way. So I just want to get a little bit of a raise of hands here just to see what marathon runners we've got or what levels we are at on this webinar. So could you please put your hands up if you haven't run a marathon before? Okay, great. We've got a few of you guys that haven't run a marathon before. Oh, yay, you're going to love it. It's very, very exciting stuff. Okay, hands up if you've done one marathon before. Yep, a few of you guys. Okay. And how about if you've done more than one? I guess it would probably be the remainder of you guys. Okay. And what about, have we got any real veterans here? So people that have run, let's just say 5 or more marathons. I think that's a good number. Okay. Rightio. So most of us on the line today have either not, have run 1 or under 5. Okay, that's great to know, just so that I know that what you guys, where you guys are at as well. Okay, so just a little bit about me, because ultimately this is about giving you guys some information about running marathons. But who am I, and why should I, why should you listen to me? And the reason why I've written here, who are we and why should you listen to us, is that I've actually teamed up with my mother, Bernice, and I just wanted to share with you that she is the absolute inspiration for in my life, realistically. My mum got me into running at a very, very early age. I probably would have been about 7, and she was dragging me out for runs with her. Okay, so she's installed in me just a healthy lifestyle and instilled this passion for running. I don't know anything else. I don't know what it's like. In all fairness, guys, I really don't know what it's like not to ever, you know, I know what it's like not to want to run, because there's many days where I'm completely unmotivated, but I've had that inside me where it's just been a natural instinct to just run and just to, go out there and achieve those goals and that. So I don't know what it's like to start from the very, very start, although I have helped people who have started from the very, very start. And we're just talking about running, not marathons. I do know what it's like to start marathon running. But so that's why I'm just talking about, how we can help you, because my mum, who's my inspiration, who got me into running at a very, very early age, who's been running all her life, is we've teamed up together, because do you know what? A lot of the things that we do together revolve around health, fitness, running, and talking about health, fitness, running, nutrition, injury prevention, and the whole works. So, so we thought, why not? So my name's Kerry Fitzgibbon. I have run for more than 30 years. Like I said, I'm actually turned 40 next week, guys. It's my big 40. You're the only ones I'm admitting it to. Everyone else, I'm saying I'm 30, and in fact, my 6-year-old daughter, she thinks I'm 28 still. So that's really, really nice. But so I've been running for more than 30 years. Okay, I have done 6 official marathons, and what the reason why I say official is that I've done the distance over and over again and plus some, but I've only actually entered in official 42.2 kilometre runs, and I've only done 6 of those. I've done over 50 plus mountain marathons. See, I'm from New Zealand. I'm now living in Australia, but I lived in a little town called Wanaka, which is a tourist mecca and multi-sport mecca of New Zealand. It's right down in the South Island, and it's really, really beautiful. And what we did is we spent our days running and mountain biking up marathons. So, in fact, we did one adventure where we did 3 mountain marathons in 3 days. So popular tracks like we did the Root Burn, the Milford Sound, and the Kepler Challenge 3 days in a row. So we're talking, 60 plus Ks, 70 plus Ks, and another 60 plus Ks of mountain marathons. After that, it's feeling a little bit tired. Done adventure racing as well, so 24 to 48 hour races, and I did a race called the Southern Traverse. This is a 5-day endurance race, so it's 5 days continuous. You only get a couple of hours sleep in this. The reason why I just wanted to mention those things is that I have actually brought a lot of my mindset training, endurance training, the techniques that I use to be able to do these big, long races. I've introduced those into my marathon training as well, and found that it's been extremely successful. So what I've taken from all that endurance racing and brought it into marathons. I was also a New Zealand body sculpting champion, slightly something different, but that's what, a lot of my nutrition training and discipline for that was gleaned from that. And I was also a New Zealand multi-sport champion as well. So and there's a race in New Zealand called the Coast to Coast, and I was a top 10 finisher most years that I did that. Now, my mother, Bernice Fitzgibbon, She's done over 50 years of running. She'd absolutely hate me saying that because look at her. She doesn't look like she's 50, does she? And do you know what? That's from years of running, nutrition, health, that she can actually look that good. So she's done over 50 years of running. She has only done one marathon, but she did 3 years of training with the Marathon Clinic in New Zealand. So, and she's done 25 half marathons as well. My mother, she just immerses herself in just learning more techniques for running, she's really right into her nutrition and injury prevention as well. She's done a lot, hundreds of 5 and 10K races. She's definitely more built for the speed side of things. And she was a cross-country champion as well. But ultimately, what she brings to what we do together is she's a registered nurse and she specialises in nutrition and injury prevention. There really seriously isn't really much that she won't know about those topics. Okay, so let's start. Now, one of the things you really need to do when you sit down to sort out, I know some of you guys, you've already decided you're going to run a marathon, because if you hadn't, you wouldn't be on this call, right? But what are your goals? What is it that you actually really, really want to achieve, and why are you running it in the first place? Now, quite often we don't really sit down and think about this. It might just be someone's mentioned it and you might go, oh, shivers, that'd be fun to do. Or like me, in fact, guys, the very first marathon I ran, official marathon I ran, was I hadn't done any running for quite some time. And it was the Tuesday before one of the Gold Coast marathons. And I had nothing planned for the weekend. The longest run I'd done kind of within that sort of 6 to 8 month period, I think I might have done a 10K run, because I had a couple of little ones. At that stage, I think they were around about 1 and 3. And I used to just take them out in the pram and run with them in the pram and that. So lots of resistance training in that, but hadn't done some really big distances because it was a little bit too hard to with work and the little ones and that at that particular time. I've now found ways to get around that. But yeah, so the longest runs I'd ever done was around about, like I said, about a 10K. Anyway, it was the Tuesday before the Gold Coast Marathon, and I was like, what's on this weekend? Oh, it's the Gold Coast Marathon. You know what? I'm going to do it. And I looked at it and I thought, the wise girl inside me would do the half marathon. But I'm not extremely wise like that, and I was like, I'll challenge myself. So I entered the full marathon. Okay, so I pretty much got off the couch and did the full marathon. So there was actually no particular goal in that, but since then I've been planning. So whatever it is that your goal is, I don't advise, by the way, I don't advise you get off the couch and run a marathon. I was fine in the end, but I definitely had a lot more fun once I actually started incorporating and doing training and things. So why are you wanting to run the marathon in the first place? Or if you actually have already run one, like some of you guys, what are you trying to achieve? Now, this will be different for everyone. I want you to take a moment and just write down in one sentence, why are you doing your next marathon? What's the big why? And if you've done it, what are you trying to achieve? And we'll get into a little bit more about the goal setting in a second. But whilst you're doing that, I'll just give you an example. So funnily enough, initially, I never actually had a goal to run an official marathon. And like I mentioned before, the reason why I say official is because I had huge goals of running big Ks, but never ever the 42.2K. Do you know why? Because I actually thought they'd be too boring. Can you believe it? I initially wanted to run the Coast to Coast, and this was a goal I set at around about 12 years old. The Coast to Coast, just in case you guys don't know, it's a 243-kilometre multi-sport race in New Zealand. Its run section is best described as a riverbed, and you have to be a mountain goat, okay? And it's 33 kilometres. Why did I want to do that? Well, my big why for this was because I was told that I probably couldn't. At that particular time, it was only guys that were doing doing the Coast to Coast. It was a really hardcore race. There was a guy called Steve Gurney in New Zealand, and there was photos of him with dirt around his mouth, and dirt all over him and whatever else, crawling through bush and scrub and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So I that, so I had my why. And, years later, I went on and achieved that, and I achieved it several times over, and did it really, really well. So skip a few years, I've done a few coast to coast. I did some mountain marathons and adventure race and extreme endurance sports. And then I decided, like I said, to run my official marathon. And it really was off the couch, the first one. Since then, the ones after that have all been very, very planned. And boy, was I wrong about it being boring. Oh my God, the sense of achievement after you've run a marathon is amazing, and it's addictive. So getting back on track, why do you want to run a marathon or get a better time? So you should have written that down by now. Now that we've decided why, let's get into the goal setting. Let's use the SMARTS approach, okay? Some of you guys might know the SMART approach. I've added an extra S on the end here, right? And you'll see why, right? Now, specific is obviously the first one. So this might be something that you write down after this webinar, but just along the lines of, I want to run a marathon by the 31st of August 2014, let's just say. So realistically, you need to find a marathon that fits into that time frame, but also gives you ample time to train. We're looking at approximately around about 20 weeks if you're a beginner, slightly less if you're run fit. Even though I was run fit, I still give myself around about, if it's like start of the marathon season now, I'll give myself around about 17 weeks. By the end of the marathon season, I might be running a marathon a week apart. Not advise that, but that's some of the things that I do, right? But to give yourself ample time, allow yourself, 20 weeks or 17 weeks, okay? So if you have run a marathon and it's a specific, you need to get specific on, I want to run a marathon under 4 hours, or I want to run a marathon and do a sub 3:30, and I want to do it by whatever date it is. So I had mine at the beginning of last year. Mine was, I want to run the Gold Coast Marathon, and I want to run it in a sub 3:30. That was my goal. I wanted to do sub 3:30. I ended up doing 3:21. It was fantastic. My next goal is actually under a 3:15. Okay, baby steps. But from the year before, it was a 3:56, and I got it down to a 3:21 within that year. Also get specific with what training and nutrition plans you're going to follow to achieve this goal. You are going to need help along the way. There's lots of training plans, there's lots of nutrition plans, and that if you really want to stick to it and you want to do it properly and you want to do it injury free, you're going to have to follow a plan along the way, or follow other people that have done it and done it successfully as well. Okay, you want it to be measurable. So how are you going to measure that you're on track? How are you going to measure that you are moving further ahead? So if you are following a training program, it should be easy to measure, because your progression will be actually listed down for you. So if you're following a training program, if you're following that program and you're getting through the weeks and getting through the distances, then you're progressing and getting further along. And that's what training programs are designed to do. Also, really, really great to keep a training diary. Okay. Now, keep in mind that a lot of my information that I glean is from experience, but I also do a lot of research as well. And I also look at other people's things, and I test what works, and I test and measure things in my own running as well. And within keeping a training diary, I read somewhere that someone was talking about color coding it. So it's nice and easy to see how you're feeling. So on a particular day, if you had yellow as didn't feel great, pink as feeling fantastic, different types of color coding to how you actually felt throughout your training. So at a glance, you can go back through your training diary and you can see how you felt at certain periods of times and on certain days and things as well. Really, really good also to keep a nutrition diary or a food diary as well. But we go more into the nutrition further on in this marathon, okay? You need to make sure that your goal is adjustable. It needs to be flexible. You need to listen to your body and understand what it's saying. I had someone ask on the Run Marathon training page the other day. They were saying that they'd just had a heavy week of training and they were finding it really, really hard to get motivated and back into the following week. Okay. If you're tired, if your body's saying it just can't do it. Now, there's a couple of different things to measure here. It could be your mind, but generally your body's pretty good at telling you. And you know, if you're motivated enough, you'll know that okay, you know, it's not your mind, and it's not that you're not unmotivated. You know, it's not that you're slacking off or anything. It's because your body needs a rest, and you need to rest your body. So, if you are tired, if you're feeling sick, or if you've major work or family commitments that mean you might not be able to train for a few days, then allow yourself to do that. You will get on track, and we really don't want you to get stressed out. I'm going to be talking about this a lot during this webinar, having fun whilst you're training. You really want to enjoy this moment. The race day is great, but the build up to it is all part of the process. You know, running a marathon isn't just getting across the finish line. I mean, it is, but it's the build up to it, and you've got to really, really enjoy that. And speaking of sort of, you've got to make your goals realistic. Okay, so speaking of, you know, fitting in and you know, you've got to be able to work in with your work and your home schedule. Give yourself time, as mentioned in the specific, and how much time as well. So be very realistic with your goals on your work and your family commitments and everything else that you've got, you know, got in your life as to what you can achieve. And the other S at the end of SMART is smile. Don't forget to enjoy yourself. Enjoy the training. Enjoy what's happening to your mind and enjoy what's happening to your body. Running a marathon is a huge achievement. And that's why we're all here, you know, and that's why that's why I've put together Run Marathon Training, the Facebook page, to be a group of people that are really, really supporting each other. And you know, you know, helping each other along this journey as well. Okay, so you also want to assess where you are now and where you want to be by what time. So sort of basically what I've been talking about. So where are you now at your training level? You know, can you run 5Ks or can you not? Can you run 10Ks? Have you run half a marathon before? Have you run a marathon before? And where is it you actually want to be? And you know, and by what date is it? And what needs to be done as well. So if your specific is that you want to run your marathon by the 31st of August 2014, what do you need to do to achieve that? Okay. Now we're going to be talking about some of the marathon training programs and about actually training for it. So now we've got our goals sorted out. We're actually going to go into the training program. Okay. So there is the old school mentality. Now, I want to start off here. Well, first of all, I want to just say that I believe in training smarter, not harder, and this is what this is all about, okay? But there is the old school mentality, and I want to start off by dispelling the myth that you need to pound the pavement for hours in training in order to run a marathon. Yes, you do need to put the effort in, but I know so many people who overtrain. Seriously, people who run 6 days a week, some people that run 7 days a week and run on average between 100 to 160 kilometers or 65 miles to 100 miles if you are imperial, and they run these consistently. And some do it right up to the race day as well. And then they find themselves injured or burnt out by the time the race comes. You really don't need to do that. Okay, so just to give you an example, I used to train multi-sport, like I said, and I used to train with a group of really amazing, dedicated people. They out-trained me every single time. Every single time we went out on a training session, they out-biked me, they out-kayaked me, they outran me. However, I just didn't do the hours that they did. Instead, what I did is I did it wisely. I did it under the guidance of an amazing training program and coach. And come to race day, I outraced them every single time. And I saw my friends who were absolutely amazing. And, weeks later, they could get out there and beat me again, but on race day, they would fall apart. Okay. So even one of my most recent marathons, one of my friends, he was clicking up the miles, or clicking up the Ks, and was telling me how many hours of running he was doing consistently, right? And I'd, call in and see him. He actually had a shop down the corner. He owns a shop down the corner from where I live. And I'd call in and he'd be going, oh, Kerry, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and whatever else. Yes, he ran well, but he hit the wall during the race. He finished, but he hit the wall. And, I ended up, doing a lot better time and feeling really, really great. And Mum was telling me a story earlier tonight when she used to run for the Marathon Clinic in New Zealand. And it was the same old story. They used to out-train her, do lots and lots of miles and lots of Ks. But come race day, she was the one that used to leave them in the dust. And, one of the things that you'll realize when you get out there and you start even running, and I'll talk about this towards the end of the webinar, but I'll bring it up now, and I'll probably bring it up then. It's just so that I don't forget as well, is just remember when you do start your marathon and you start the race, just start out slightly behind what your race pace should be, okay? And then build up. The biggest thing I see is people start out fast and end up petering out towards the end, okay? It is so much more, it's so much better, and it's so much better for your mind when you're actually starting to pass people in a run than getting past, especially in those latter stages of a race. If you've got people continually going past you and past you and past you, it really does play havoc with your mind. However, if you're getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and you're passing people, my gosh, it's such a great feeling. And that's one of things that can really, really help you along the way as well. With my marathon training programs, I really like to concentrate on quality over quantity. And that's to eradicate what I call junk kilometers or junk miles. So these are ones that you don't really need to do. Okay. So like I was saying, how to train smarter, not harder. Now, I'm not very good at pronouncing this, but there is a term for what I train to, and it's called the Karo-Vinen method. This is essentially based on training within right heart rate zones. Now, I just want to ask a question here, guys. Who here has heard of this method before or run it themselves? Just put your hands up. We've got a couple of people, okay. Rightio, awesome. Okay. So, like I said, it's basically, and I'm going to try and keep this really simple for you guys, tonight anyway, and we can go into details of how you can find out more about this. But maximum heart rate reserve equals maximum heart rate minus resting heart rate is the equation we use. But all too often, runners are not aware of the correct training zones, and many train in what we refer to as zone 1. Now, I know some of you guys may not train to heart rate right now, and I never used to, as well. And in fact, I used to go, it's all too hard to try and calculate. But I tell you what, the biggest gains I've ever had in my running career or my running life have been from using the heart rate zone and training the heart rate. And once you actually figure it out, it really is easy, and it does all the figuring out for you. So as mentioned, a lot of people actually train in zone 1, which is great for rest and recovery, but not for aerobic and anaerobic zones, okay? And these are really, really important. You should be mixing up your training with anaerobic, which includes your intervals, a thing called Tabata, which is essentially helps you burn fat stores, hill climbs, and fartlek, which is alternating between speed and slow. So, running your lampposts, one fast, one slow, and high intensity interval training, which is repeat bouts at high intensity. Mixing this up means your cardiac efficiency and recovery will be a lot faster and better, okay? So if you run like this, you will be training for your best performance in a lot less time whilst avoiding injuries, overtraining, and burnout. And that comes with cranking up too many junk miles. So if we mix up our training with anaerobic and aerobic and all those other things in between, which we'll go into, then you're going to be able to train smarter and not harder. Okay, so just to give, and if you are running for weight loss, it helps you here too. And I know there was a few people that said that they, are running for weight loss, and I often hear people say they get into running or they get into running marathons because they actually wanted to lose weight, and then they find themselves not actually doing that. Okay, and it will be generally because they are not doing heart rate zone, and it is nutrition mixed in as well, and I'm going to help you with both of this. But if you are training to the right intensity and using the right program, then if you want it to, the weight loss, and we're not talking scales, but the toning up and stuff. I mean, although it might come off on the scales, I definitely don't promote using scales at all. It's all about how you feel and how your body looks and measurement for me, those sorts of things anyway. So if you are running for weight loss, it helps here too, although this will also depend on your nutrition, which we'll talk about as well. Okay, so just to give you an overview of the heart rate intensities, because this is important for every aspect of your marathon goal, including increasing your time or running, like I said, to lose weight. So first of all, let's start off with zone 1. Okay, you might want to write this down. This is the health zone. You are working between 50 to 65% of maximum heart rate. So to put this in a terms that you might understand, you can jog and have a nice conversation with someone, and it's very, very comfortable. This is how my mother and I train together. We make sure that when we do our runs together, that we are, it's not on a high intensity day. It's on a day that we might be wanting to actually train in zone 1 and do a little bit of recovery. Okay. Now this health zone, it improves general health. It's usually the start of an exercise or fitness program, and it's used as a warm up and cooled down by competitive athletes. Okay. So this zone can improve the ability of muscular and cardiovascular systems to recover from high intensity training sessions, and should be used as a warm-up or cool-down strategy. A steady increase in heart rate during this zone can produce some general health benefits and will maintain heart health to some degree. However, getting to the next zone, which is the cardio-based zone, as soon as possible is recommended for enhanced improvement for cardiovascular health benefits. Okay, so this is where we're going to talk about the cardio-based zone 2. Okay, this is 65 to 75% maximum heart rate. You should still be able to talk, but not a comfortable conversation, and this requires a little bit more effort. Okay, the goals for this specific heart rate zone are weight loss, improve your fitness levels, use as a recovery zone as well, improves energy levels, and it produces a stronger immune system as well. I tell you what, I hardly ever get sick. Touch wood again. After I hop off this webinar, I might fall to pieces, get injured, and get sick. No, no, seriously, I have so many people getting sick around me, and that doesn't happen with me. And I mean, you guys probably find the same, being runners and all. So this zone is known as the fat burning zone and the recovery zone. So individuals training in this zone who train without variation will initially improve their oxygen consumption, but in the absence of overload, performance will quickly plateau. So if you're only training in zone 2, you'll increase and then you'll plateau. And some people I know say, oh, I'm just not improving. This will be why. So therefore, to avoid plateau in your goals in terms of fat burning or performance, you've got to increase your duration, frequency, or both, right? So this is where we go into zone 3, which is your cardio zone, and it's the 75 to 85% of your maximum heart rate. If someone in this zone, if someone asks you a question, you might be able to say one word answer, My mum said it's something like it sounds like duck and ends with off. How are you feeling at the moment? So you'll be able to say one word answer, and you will be feeling pretty uncomfortable in this zone, right? But the goals for this zone: this improves your muscular endurance and improves muscular force, increases cardiopulmonary efficiency, also enhanced weight loss, and also improves the ability to remove lactic acid as well. So this zone is close to the anaerobic threshold, where the body can no longer produce any more energy for solely aerobic metabolism. So the amount of energy produced anaerobically increases. So the higher the intensity that the body can train at aerobically, the more calories will be burnt from fat and less lactic acid is produced. One of the major outcomes in training in this is to increase the anaerobic threshold and a greater reliance on fat as fuel. And you may hear this often. That's one of our goals as a marathon runner, is to use our fat as fuel. This is good news if your goal is to reduce your body fat and full body weight loss, as there is marked increase in the calories used due to the increase in intensity. However, in terms of athletic performance, similar to training in zone 2, staying in zone 3 will lead to a plateau in performance. So progressive overload with frequency, intensity, time, and type of training will keep your goals on track and prevent boredom kicking in, okay? And this is where we come to our high intensity zone. This is over 85%. Your ability to speak will be completely gone. In fact, if you open your mouth too wide, you might actually puke whilst training in this zone. So it's higher athletic performance. This zone makes you faster and stronger. Most athletes train at the zone for short bouts consisting of about 30 to 60 seconds at high intensity. It's also advised to recover in zones 1 and 2 for a prescribed amount of time, depending on your goal, and then go to zone 4 for more high intensity work. So the benefits of training really, really high and then going into the recovery and training high increases speed, power, metabolism, and anaerobic capacity by repeatedly exposing your muscles to high intensity. Also improves resistance to fatigue, because you're going to get fatigued when you run a marathon. It improves endurance and cardiovascular capacity and burns more fat due to the higher intensity. But on that note, a word of caution: being in zone 4 more than the prescribed amount is it's very strenuous on your body and can lead to overtraining. Weight loss in this zone, it is rapid, but if you become injured, if you do too much of this and become injured, then your weight will rebound back on because you won't be able to train. So the idea is really to mix up all these intensities. So I'm going to give you an example of a typical training kind of week. Training kind of week. So if you were a beginner starting out on your marathon journey, right, you might initially start out. So we're starting to run. We haven't run much before, and this is going to sound like not much initially, but I'd just like to say I do, and like I said, I've done over 30 years of running, and I've run a lot. Okay, but when I actually start my marathon training and start out new and fresh for my new 17 weeks of building up to a race or whatever else, I step it back a notch. I go right back to stage 1, and even though I'd be probably intermediate to advanced, I go right back to stage 1. So if you are a beginner runner, and a beginner starting out on your marathon journey, you might actually start day 1 by a walk or jog for 15 minutes, okay? You might do this in heart rate zone 2, okay? The reason why we're not doing 1 is because if you are starting out, it's going to be a lot quicker for you to get to that 65 to 75%, okay? So day 1, you might walk or jog for 15 minutes, okay? Day 2, you might actually just have a day of stretching, and day 3 might be a rest, okay? This is on a 4-day marathon plan. I actually have training for 5 days, 4 days, and time poor for 3 days as well. So if you can't fit in, 5 days worth of training, you can train it in 4 days. I've done a marathon with 3-day training course. I've done a marathon with training 4 times a week. I've done a marathon with training 5 times a week as well. But that should be it. So just to get back, I do digress slightly sometimes. Day one, you might start with a walk or jog, 15 minutes in heart rate zone 2. You might do day 2, might be a day of stretching. Day 3 might be a day rest. Day 4, you might run for 12 minutes at heart rate zone 2 and 3. So you might want to take it up a little bit, and I usually try and take it up a little bit towards the end of the run, and then taper it back down. You might also do a little bit of core strength included on day 4 as well, and we're going to talk about that further because you really need to be doing core exercises when running. Day 5, you might have a day rest. Day 6, you might do sprints and go to heart rate zone 4. And day 7, you might run 15 minutes and go into zone 2 or 3. Now, you will build up to longer runs, and eventually you will be able to train. You will be actually taking it back to zone 1 because as you get fitter, we do talk about actually the recovery runs as well. So this will be in zone 1. And it will take you a little bit more to get your heart rate up as well. So if you're an intermediate, so you've run, a marathon or 2, you might start off, day 1 running 30 minutes in heart rate zone 2 and so on. If you're advanced, you might go 60 minutes in day 1 in heart rate zone 2 and then work up. Over the 17 to 20 weeks, you might think, gosh, if you're a beginner and you might be training for 20 weeks, you might be going, oh gosh, but if I start off on day 1 just running 15 minutes, that's not much. And then what if I had 3 days off and I only run 4? That's not enough. Trust me, it is. You don't have to overtrain if you do it like this. And you can train 4 days a week running. Or you can run 3 days a week if you're time poor. I don't suggest that if you are starting out on your running journey completely, that you go straight to a 3-day time poor, that you should really do either a 4 or 5 day, okay? It just means over 4 days it'll be a bit more intensity than it would be on a 5. But so every week you'll hit all heart rate zones and some training sessions, all zones in one session. So basically, the whole idea of this Karvonen method is to really train your body to utilize fat for energy. Okay. Now, there's other things in the training and in sprint workouts and that, but by incorporating sprint work in your workouts, this helps you increase your insulin sensitivity, so fat and calorie burning. It increases fat stores being used by the release of free fatty acids into the bloodstream. It increases liver and muscle take-up of the carbs, so instead of being stored, and also increases growth hormone levels, which are required for fat transportation within the body. This training also increases your lactic threshold. So we're talking about sprint training, which should be incorporated in all your training for marathons, by improving the individuals, by improving your muscular endurance, your stamina, and your speed. So with an increase in the lactic threshold comes an increase in endurance and the tolerance to pain. You don't feel the pain as much. So the idea, like I said, really is to mix up your training, use heart rate. If you don't have a heart rate monitor, you really need to go out and get one. If you want to improve and you want to do this properly and you want to do it injury-free and you want to train smarter and not harder, we want to be training in all 4 of these zones. If you're running for weight loss, you want to be training in all 4 of these zones, and you want to be mixing them up. Okay, and that's the way you train stronger, you get faster, you get fitter, and you become a lean, mean, fighting marathon machine. Okay, so I had a lot of people asking me about injury prevention on my page, okay? There are 3 main reasons why people injured, okay? It's stress. So increased workload on your muscles, tendons, and joints and ligaments. It's like, you've just any type of sudden move or any type of wrong movement or whatever else. So this can cause stress. It's overuse. Too much of a good thing. You're running well and feeling good, so you think, if I pick up my training, I'll get even better. And then you feel the warning signs, but you don't listen. Who here is familiar with this? Put your hands up. You're training really, really well. You're feeling really, really great. All of a sudden, you start to get a slight niggle, and you're like, "Oh no! I'll just keep going because I'm training so well, and I don't want to lose my gains." Yes. Do you know what, guys? Actually, most of you guys have put up your hands to this. Yeah. Oh, yes. You know, and listen, you really need to listen. You feel the warning zones, but you don't listen. You need to know when to back off, and you need to know when to push. Also, imbalance. This is another reason why you get injuries. Your body isn't properly trained for the task it's performing. Nothing acts in isolation if on a group of muscles, one group of muscles is stronger than another. So if you have any kind of imbalance, then you have the potential to injure yourself. Okay, so in order to avoid all of this, okay, is to do some core strength training, some weights, and some cross training as well. Okay, so your core strength training, you'll know what it is. You know, everyone might have heard of doing the plank, the horrible plank. There's all different ways you can do it, but you must, and it's a big thing that I see in a lot of runners. They do not work their core. They do not strengthen their core. This will cause an imbalance. This will cause, it'll cause you to, not run properly and whatever else. And you also need to build your strength up as well. So do your weights and do your cross training. All the training programs I put together incorporate all of this. It incorporates your core, your weights, your cross training, and your running as well. And this will help you be injury free and help you improve on your running as well. Okay, stretching. Okay, dynamic stretching only before running. Okay, so our dynamic stretching is movement type stretching. So your kick legs, knee, so you're moving while you're stretching along the way. None of these sort of static ones. So before you run, you want to do your dynamic stretching, and then and you want to do some ballistic stretching as well. So this is dynamic, but with force. So, and then your static stretching, not before running, but at any other time after or done daily, can improve muscle flexibility, improving range of movement. Never really force the strength stretch. So when I talk about static stretching, that is your typical standing on spot stretching. You will see people, and you may do it yourself, standing there on the spot stretching before they go into a race. This is the old method. The new method is to do your moving stretches. Okay, so and doing yoga and Pilates is good, mixing it up within your training as well. So before you run, start slowly with a warm-up, 5 to 10 minute fast walk or slow jog, increase heart rate, skeletal circulation, and mind focused, and be alert. This lets the body know it's in for some work along the way. Okay, and make sure you get plenty of rest and sleep as well. Listen to your body. Really cannot stress that enough. We all do it. And you can avoid injury by avoiding the terrible twos, okay? It's not just in children, it's in your sport as well. So, too much, too soon, too often, too fast, with too little rest. We are all guilty of it. We are runners. Well, some people are starting out, and you will get like this. We are marathon runners, and we're probably all very much overachievers. Okay, it takes a certain type of person. Sometimes you just have to sit back and take a step back before you take all those steps forward. Okay, but ultimately have fun. Really enjoy yourself. It's all about, enjoying this journey, guys. Okay, so getting into the nutrition side of things. Now, I'd just like to say that one size does not fit all. However, there are some basic guidelines when it comes to eating for marathon training, okay? So we're talking about calorie intake. This is important because it provides the energy needed to perform at your optimum level. So you get energy from macros. Now, macros, these are three main sources. They're otherwise known as your carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Okay, so what should you be eating every day? Right. Like I said, I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail on this. I do have a training program which I go and talk about this a little bit more, and I'll show you later on. And we go right into nutrition plans. But every day, sorry, there's a you know how I told you guys to switch off phones? My mother didn't switch off her phone, and she's sitting in the background here, so it was just going off. It just put me off slightly. Sorry, guys. Okay, so what should you be eating every day? Right, you want at least half vegetables in your diet. You want a quarter carbs. You want a quarter lean proteins, and don't forget you need to add in some fats as well. All right. On a heavy training session, you need to adjust the macro ratio slightly. Okay. So just to get into your half vegetables, these are your broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, lettuce, tomatoes, carrots, peas, you know the stuff. Your carbs, otherwise known as potato, kumara, pasta, rice, and so on. And your proteins are your meat, chicken, fish, eggs. Okay, so we know what those are. So half our daily intakes vegetables, a quarter carbs, a quarter proteins, and don't forget to add those healthy oils, a teaspoon of either olive oil or flaxseed oils as well. And you can add them to your meals or to your protein shakes or whatever it is that you're having. In your heavy training sessions, you want to adjust those macros slightly. You want to have a third of carbs, a third of proteins, and a third of vegetable throughout the day. Okay, so mixing up, completely third all the way. So, and again, you should be adding in your nice, healthy fats as well. Make sure you snack well, snack healthy, and keep the hunger at bay. Ensure that the snacks you eat are not high in bad fats, unwanted calories, and simple sugars. It is very easy. Trust me, I know this. It is very easy after doing a run to come in and grab mine's muffin. That's my weakness. I love eating muffins, and I have been known to eat the odd carrot cake as well. I make an absolutely amazing carrot cake, okay? And certainly do treat yourselves. You're running a marathon, you should be able to, but not obviously every day. So we don't want our unwanted calories and simple sugars. So some of the things to include in your snack plan: fresh and dried fruits, nuts and seeds, low-fat yogurt, whole grain crackers, and you can put avocados and tomatoes on top of that. You can have celery and dip it into some peanut butter and things like that for snacks. But if you are doing this, it doesn't matter whether you're doing this for weight loss or whether you're doing it not, just to achieve something. You should always, plan early, prepare your meals early, have them there. If you're rushing around during the day, you should not be skipping a meal when you're training for a marathon at all. And you want to be regularly eating. You want to be eating every couple of hours. So just to give you an example, and like I said, the ideas of when to eat, this is different for everyone. And in the marathon training programs that we've put together, we do have a nutrition plans for you to show you what to eat, when to eat, what types of foods to eat. We have a grocery shopping list as well on things that you can buy as well. We also do tailored plans specifically for individual people, but that's further down the track, and I won't be talking about that today. Okay, but just to let you know that's what we have as well. I know that I like to be told what to eat, especially when I'm running for a marathon. I don't really like to think about it. But so your meal timings and breakfast, the body you've been asleep for 12 hours. Okay, hopefully 12 hours, some less. I probably average between 8 and 10 hours of sleep. 10 if I'm really, really lucky. I probably get less sleep than I should or than most, but if on it, 12 hours is a really good amount of sleep, but basically you're fasted, okay? So your carb reserves will be reduced. And remember that you need to keep the fuel at optimum levels so that you can train. Your fat mobilization is decreased after you've been sleeping as well, and the muscles will be in slight catabolic state. So the main focus of breakfast is really to fire up the metabolism and to replenish your fuel stores within the muscles and the liver. Breakfast should be consumed within 30 minutes of waking up, and your breakfast should consist of some high and complex carbs, a fast-acting protein, so maybe a protein shake is what I tend to use. So I mean, and don't, you'll have your own type of meals, but I would normally mix up a banana into a protein and some protein powder into a shake, and then add in some flaxseed oil. But you can have a portion of essential fatty acids, so your nuts and your seeds as well. Or you might want to have some rolled oats have some protein powder on top or whatever else, and sprinkle some mix of nuts and seeds in that on top of that as well. A couple of hours after this, the mid-morning snack should be eaten within a couple of hours after breakfast, and its main aim is to balance out the blood sugars, stop you from feeling hungry, and to keep your metabolism burning through to lunch. The snack should have a portion of low glycemic CHOs and a portion of protein as well. So your lunch, this should be basically 2 or 3 hours after your mid-morning snack, should be the second largest meal of the day. Some people do make this the largest meal of the day. It's up to you and the way you feel about it. But at this point during the day, your body should be well balanced, and if you're eating properly, it should be in a state of equilibrium. However, the aim of lunch is to sustain the energy required for the afternoon and to maintain your blood sugar levels. You know how sometimes in the afternoon you start to feel a little bit, it's because your blood sugar levels drop. You should add a portion of protein, such as fish and chicken, whey or egg, a portion of low glycemic carbs, and if you eat fish, then they will be you'll be getting a great intake of essential fatty acids as well, or you might want to add nuts as well if you don't have carbs. So if you don't have fish, to get those, and you can take tablets and stuff, but I prefer to get everything from food. I'd rather eat it than anything else. Afternoon, like I said, you're usually in a little bit of a dip. You can get into a little bit of dip, so this is really the snack in your afternoon tea should be a couple of hours later, and is to ease up on the blood sugar levels, and its focus should be on carbs and proteins to get your energy levels back in track. One of the ideas, you could have a nutrition bar that is low in sugar, or you could have a protein shake as well. And at dinner time, this is your last meal of the day before you go to sleep, and should be consumed within 4 hours after your lunch and within 2 hours after your afternoon snack. And I'd also leave it a couple of hours before you go to bed as well. Okay, so time it properly. The main focus of this meal is to keep the metabolism high with low carbs, high protein, and moderate fat. The carbs should have adequate fiber and low in sugar as well. And again, with all your meals, you want to be adding in your essential fatty acids, so your oils, nuts, and seeds as well. And you might want to have a little light evening snack as well, depending on your training day. Okay. Now, in terms of before a race, okay, if you're carb loading before a race, a simple strategy is 2 weeks before your race, switch 65% of your calorie intake from carbs to healthy fats. So this is where you want to stock up on your avocados, your Greek yogurts, your eggs, your seeds, your nuts, your olive oils, your flax seeds, your fatty fish, your whole milk, right? Then switch from fat loading to carb loading 3 days before the event or race, with 70% of your total calorie intake should be from carbs. Keep your protein levels the same during both the fat and carb loading periods. Like I said, there is a lot to go in, here. I do cover some of this in our training courses, which I will show you. But also you want to make sure just all the way through, keep hydrated. If you're feeling tired, quite often it's because it might be because you just are not hydrated enough. So make sure that you hydrate well. And you also want to replace your electrolytes as well, so with some type of electrolyte drink, whatever that may be. There is all sorts of simple equations. I'm not going to go into it on this webinar because it would be a whole new webinar. And again, I do cover some of this in some of our training programs as well. Now, mindset is actually one of my favorites because without getting your mind right, I'll frame it another way, right? In order to achieve absolutely everything I've talked about, you have to have your mindset right, okay? You have to be in the right mindset. You might start with really good intentions. There is some stage along the way you are going to feel overwhelmed, okay? This is perfectly normal. Actually, I would love to have a hands up who has felt like this with their marathon training program, when they've been training for them, or in any other types of running, where you've started out with good intentions, you've got so far through, and all of a sudden you've just gone, I just don't know whether I can do this. Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. There's quite a few of you there that, yeah. It's so good talking to marathon runners or people that are training for marathons. We're all on the same page. We've all experienced very. It is perfectly normal, and if you can address this and you know that this is the case, you get through all this sort of stuff. Okay, it does take motivation and it does take commitment to run a marathon, but really believe in yourself. Know that you can do it. Do not doubt yourself. There will be times where you will wonder if you can do it. And trust me, the day of the race will come and you'll be sitting there before the race and you'll be like, what if I hit the wall? What if I can't do it? I mean, we've all been there. You can do it. You've put in the training and you'll get across the finish line. Just set your mind to do it and you will, and everything else will fall in place. This might take a bit of practice and it might take a bit of work. And one of the ways that you can do this is really, if you are in one of those moments where you might wake up in the morning and you're not injured, you're not really tired, but you're really just a little bit unmotivated and unsure of your direction. Think about your why. Think about why you're doing this. Now, you guys have written it down on that piece of paper. I want you to, if you haven't, I want you to write down your big why and put it up on your fridge or on your wall or somewhere where you can see it. And what will you feel? Feel it. Feel what it would mean or how you'd feel when you cross that finish line, when you achieve your marathon goal. And I want you guys, after you get off this webinar and maybe before you go to bed tonight, and do this often, in fact, lay there and run through the marathon in your mind. Lay there and go, okay, you're getting prepared for the race and you're lining up with everyone else and it's such a buzz. Oh, wait a minute, you need to go to the toilet. So you're up to the toilet and you're queuing up with half a dozen other people and you're jumping from one foot to the other foot to the other foot and you're waiting and you're waiting and waiting. You open the door to the toilet and it is not a good place to be. You want to get in and out as quickly as possible. This is all part of it. And then you get to the start line and there's the buzz and there's all those people around you and they've all got their watches and clocks and their beeps and their little memorabilia, and some of them are wearing a different color socks and some have got funny hats and some people are, that whole thing, and you're there with them and the buzz and the hype and it's amazing, and you take off with everyone and you start running and you're running through the marathon and you're feeling really, really great because you've paced yourself and you've done all the training you can possibly do to get you there. And you're stopping and you're smiling at people and you're just feeling amazing. And then you come and you're coming towards the end of the race, right? and you cross that and you're coming down that chute. You've got that last 200 meters to go, and usually that last 200 meters of the marathon, you've got people lined up along the streets and they are cheering you on. And if I forget to mention this later, you should write your name on your top or on your hat, because there is nothing better than, my name's Kerry obviously, nothing better than, go Kerry, you're doing amazing, keep it up Kerry. You hear your name and you just go that little bit better, and you're feeling everyone and they're cheering you on, and you're going through the running chute and you've done it, right? And you've either beaten your goal, your speed, or you've actually completed one, and then you pass out at the end of it. But feel that. And if you're ever doubting yourself, go back to that feeling and really take hold of that feeling and anchor it, of how you would feel when you cross that finish line, okay? And give yourself time to really feel and enjoy that, and bring yourself back to that place whenever you're doubting yourself, okay? Because we've all been there, and there are times in your entire life where you're going to doubt yourself. But, especially in marathons, because it is such an achievement. And just think, failure is not an option. It is a choice, okay? And every single one of you guys that are sitting here tonight on this webinar, you guys are already successful. You're already winners, because you're here and you're learning how to do this properly, okay? Now we're going to get into a little bit of race day prep, okay? Here's a couple of tips that I suggest for when you're about to run. So we've got everything else in place. We've done all our training and everything like that. Just something I'd like to add, okay? Don't overtrain in those last couple of weeks before the marathon. A lot of people try and cram in extra miles or extra Ks. They try and cram in those extra hours on and stuff. If you haven't done it, I would say even 3 weeks out. If you haven't done the training before then, you're certainly not going to make up for it in the 3 weeks before the marathon, okay? This is the difference that I find with me when I run and do really, really well and do it injury-free and have an absolutely amazing race and are able to outperform my peers who are better and faster than I am and stronger, is because I taper off. I know that if I haven't done it beforehand, it's not going to make a huge amount of difference in those last couple of weeks. So when I talk about race day prep, I'm just going to talk about but those last couple of weeks beforehand, I have that in my training programs anyway. I have you tapering off those last couple of weeks. You've really got to trust that that's okay. And you will find that you will run a better run, right? Have your gear ready the day beforehand. The last thing you want to do is wake up in the morning, be rushing around trying to find that special sock or those sunglasses or your shoes that your children have stolen and hidden somewhere. Make sure you get a good night's sleep so you can get up nice and early. Most races are early in the morning, okay? You want to have all your food prepped and ready to go and take with you, okay? So your food intake, so the race day, you should already know how well your body handles food. As I said, most races are early hours of the morning, so you should have a little plan or routine in place. I usually find just myself that I can't eat a huge amount before I race. I still have to have something. And in fact, when I was doing a lot of my multi-sport races, I used to have one of those cans of creamed rice was what I could have. And I used to throw protein powder in that, okay? Not saying that that's recommended, but that's what I used to have. Nowadays, I have a little bowl of rolled oats and I have a little bit of protein in it as well, and I have it definitely a couple of hours beforehand. I only have a little bit, right? I tend to eat my high carb meals and that, like I said, those 3 days beforehand, so that my body is fueled up. So in the morning, I don't really need to put a whole heap in, okay? Just a word of warning. But again, you need to practice this routine before you race. So you want to be practicing what you're going to do on race day and how you're going to eat on race day before race day, okay? You want to make sure that you are well hydrated before your race day. So you want to continue to be hydrating a few days out from the race. and and definitely hydrate in the morning as well. Don't cram it though. Don't gulp down a huge big bottle of water, because you'll find that you'll have way too many pit stops throughout the race. Again, practice all this stuff before the race. Never, ever, ever eat anything on the that race day, that you haven't practiced eating beforehand. And that also includes gels, energy gels and that. Now, here's a little tip for you guys. If you know what marathon, well, if you've got a marathon in mind, figure out who the sponsor is. Have a look at the information in the marathon, because they'll usually say who the sponsor is. Sometimes the sponsor might be someone who produces gels, so the Endura gels and stuff like that, right? Now, if that's the sponsor, you could actually say that if the marathon has pit stops along the way, that will be the type of gel that they use, okay? So find out well and truly before you do the marathon what type of gels or what type of electrolyte drinks and stuff that they actually have on the race, and then you want to start practicing taking those beforehand. Or just take your own and take your own energy bag and eat your own food on the race, okay? One of the things, don't ever try and wear clothing that you haven't run in before. Don't get those brand new pair of running shoes like I did the day before a 24-hour race and end up with blisters all over your feet. Don't do that. So even shorts and even tops and that, some people I know go out and buy a brand new running top and shorts for their marathon. Don't wear it beforehand, because you don't know. It's interesting. Sometimes there might be a little seam in those shorts that might aggravate you, or that little zip at the back of your shorts where you put your keys and stuff in it. Well, it might not be flat enough, and you might end up hurting yourself with that, or you might get chafing and blisters or something from your clothes. So make sure you wear your clothes, appropriate clothing, and make sure you've worn them in your training as well. During the race, drink plenty of water, but don't just take the electrolyte drinks that they have in the stations. I like to mix them up, and I see so many people just grab the electrolytes. I tend to go water at one, electrolyte at the other one, water at one, electrolyte at the other one. Also, if you are doing the energy gels, you don't have to, again, practice this sort of stuff, but if you are doing it, you need to wash these down with water. So try and take your gel during the race. I tend to do mine around about 50 minutes to an hour is my first one into the race. That's when I'll have my first one, okay? And then every sort of 45 minutes after that, in quite a few races I might do a gel within the 30k mark, as well. But you guys need to practice this sort of thing, and it will be different for every single person along the way. Make sure you pace yourself during the race. Don't go out too hard. It is so easy to do that and to get carried on in the hype. In most of these races, they will have time balloons or counters, so you can actually, your paces, should I say. So try and either stick just behind the pace that you want to do, and then and keep that in your view, so that you make sure that you stay on track rather than. Now, there's a couple of reasons why you might have heard that there are people that hit the wall in a marathon. One of the ways to avoid hitting the wall in a marathon is prepping your training, your fuel, but definitely on that race day, starting out slow and building up. So you might want to start out just slightly slower than your race pace and build up along the way. Be prepared during the marathon that you might have a bit of a battle with the mind, okay? Especially in that last 10Ks of the marathon. You've only got 10Ks left, but this is where, or if you're in miles, gosh, I can't even figure that out on the top of my head. But anyway, your last part of the marathon, I think it's around about the 20-mile mark that people would start to lose it in miles. So this is where you really need to pull in a lot of positive thinking. You need to really reinforce yourself. Don't concentrate on those negative thoughts. Don't concentrate on the fact that you might have an ankle that's niggling on whatever else. If you focus in on that, then it's going to get worse and worse and worse. You know, and all part of this mental training, you know, throughout your training will help go a long way to helping you on race day. So you really need to distract yourself. Maybe you might turn around and say hi to the person beside you. You may want to go back to, you know, just go into your head and start thinking about, okay, in, you know, less than 10 Ks or in less than 5 Ks, I'm going to be crossing that finish line. Whoa! I see so many people pulling out at that in those last 10 Ks, you know, of a race because they can't get out of their head, or they can't get out of that negative thing. So be prepared. You might have a battle, but you guys are going to be strong enough to fight that battle, and celebrate. You know, it is just such a great feeling. It's called the runner's high. Who here has experienced the runner's high? Put your hand up. I would hope that most of you guys. I get this sometimes. Yeah, most of you guys have experienced runner's high, and that is magnified, absolutely magnified after you finish a race. Reward yourself. Go have a massage. Go, treat yourself. You deserve it. You've done really, really, really well. It's just such a huge achievement. Okay, guys. So I just want to leave you. There's a couple of things I want to talk about today before I go into the last part, which is some little tips and tricks that I've got for you. But I want to show you guys how we can help you achieve your marathon goals. Okay, what we've done is we've put together a run marathon training program. Okay, we have 4 different types of programs for 4 different types of levels. We've got a beginners for the person that's just starting out running a marathon, which is some of you guys. We've got the intermediate, so you might have actually done a 10 to 21k runs, and you might have done a marathon before, but you want to step it up. And the advanced, which is you've done a marathon, you might have done 2, but you really, really want to improve your time. And I've got a time poor training program because I know there's a lot of you guys out there that can't train more than 3 days a week. And I know people that can't train sometimes 3 days a week, or feel like they can't train more than 3 days a week, and so they don't do it. As I said at the start of this, guys, I want to really reawaken the marathon in everyone. I want the world running marathons. That's my goal. I just want more and more people to enjoy the sport that we know about. Okay, and so that's why I've put together these programs, because I'm sick of it being done properly. I'm so sick of seeing people getting injured, seeing people pull out of racing, seeing people getting confused and just not doing it because they are too confused. I want to help you guys, and I want to help make it easier, and I want us all to help each other and support each other and all reward each other and do this really, really well. Okay, so what I've included in this training program, I have a 4 and a 5 day training programs, so you can choose which one fits you. And the 4-day training program, it's a little bit more intensity over a shorter period of time over the 4 days, and the 5-day program, obviously it stretches it out a little bit more, so that anyone can fit it in. And then I've got the time poor, which is your 3-day training program. Okay, I don't suggest the 3-day if you are just starting out. I suggest you go to one of the 4 to 5 day ones. Okay, we include nutritional programs, so just what I've talked about tonight, but in way more detail. I break it up and I show you what you should be eating at every single meal, what your shopping list should be. It will differ for everyone, and there is even we can take it further, and you can get individual programs. We do offer them, but in this particular one, it's a baseline program for most people that you can work out, and it's really, really easy to figure out what to eat, when to eat, what to eat on race day. I've done all that work for you. We've done it all for you, so you don't have to think about that. We're going to offer support as well. If you need support along the way, if you're stuck, if you're going through those negative issues in your head, if you don't know, what to eat, if you don't know when to train, if you've been injured and you've all of a sudden got an injury and you want to know, what how long you should be out for, whatever else, we'll support you and we'll give you all that advice as well. We're going to hold monthly webinars like this, but they're going to be information based and based on what the feedback what you get from you guys. So our very first webinar, we'll be talking about specifically how to use a heart rate monitor and how to do the heart rate stuff. We do have information in our training programs to do this as well, but we're going to get you guys right into using your heart rate monitors to get started. If you don't have one right now, that's okay. You can still start, but you just have to base it on time. I don't suggest this. I do suggest that you do actually all, do heart rate monitoring. We were going to start up a private Facebook support group as well. I know I've got my Run Marathon page. That's great, but we're going to actually have a private support group where we can all talk to each other, support each other along the way, where you guys can ask any questions and I'll get on there and answer them as well. And I'm going to give you some training diary template as well so that we can work on a training diary together. Okay, so there's a whole heap included in the program, but I guess the main thing is that you can start the program or you can take a look at it. If it's not for you, it's a 30-day money back guarantee. The last thing I want is for you to go away sour and think, I can't, it's not for me, or whatever else. I'll give you your money back if it's not for you, okay? Like I said, my aim is I want to support everyone in running marathons. I want to support everyone in running marathons smarter, not harder. And I want us all to work together to do this and be a huge big team as well. Now, the running program is normally $19.80 a week, or it's a one-off payment of $248. Now that will take you, that's for 17 to 20 weeks of training program, okay? Now, I'm going to give you guys a webinar special. The reason why I'm going to do this is this program has been developed, and it's been developed over the last few months based on my experience, based on research, based on a whole heap of factors, including everything that I've talked about today. But it won't actually, I've got the training program, but it won't actually be online for the next week, okay? So this is going to get you guys in and join up now for the webinar special of only one payment of $197, okay, to get started. And then we'll be getting online next week, and we'll be starting off with a webinar. And now your marathon might not be right now, guys. It might be in 6 months' time. It might be in a year's time. This, however, is this is the webinar special price. So if you are thinking about even running one 6 months from now or a year from now or whatever else, then I suggest that you get this training program now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste that link. Whoopsie daisy. Oh dear. We've got a little bit more to cover, but I'm just going to copy and paste that link into the chat box so that you can see it there. I mean, I've put this together basically because I've had so many people ask me if I have got training programs. Look at it into the chat box. There it is there, okay? You can always email me after the webinar, and I will be sending out the link to everyone after the webinar, but that's the link there. It's a webinar special. This is going to be available for the next 48 hours, guys. As you know, you've got to be motivated, you've got to take action, you've got to set yourself some goals. I also suggest that what you do is you get off from here, you get the training program, and you also look for your first marathon and you sign up for that as well. Nothing more motivating than actually signing up for your marathon as well, okay? Now I've realized that I've actually gone quite long tonight, so we're just going to get on to the last part of it. So yep, webinar special for that training program. If you're not sure, by the way, so you get to, once you jump onto that page, you'll be taken to a page where you can choose a beginners, an intermediate, advanced, or time poor. If you're not 100% sure which one, pick one, and then on the next page you will have a thing that says you can pick whether you want beginner, advanced, time poor, or you want a call back. So you can leave your phone number. I'll call you and I'll talk through which program, ask a series of questions. We can have a chat about it and decide what program's best for you, okay? If you get one program and you decide, no, this is too easy, and you want another one, you just let me know and we'll put you onto another one, okay? So we're very, very, very flexible here. Okay, so here's the idea. Some other training tips to get you going. Sign up early for the race. Stick to a training plan. This is going to help you get there. Get into a routine. So maybe have your running gear ready for you by the bed in the mornings, or just have it nice and ready for you. And remember, rest days are important. And ultimately, guys, have fun. That's the biggest thing I want to say to you guys, is have fun doing this, okay? And I just want to finish up with a quote, and then I'm going to get to some of these questions. So in running, it doesn't matter whether you are you come in first, in the middle of the pack, or even last. You can say, I have finished, and there is a lot of satisfaction in that. And that's Fred Lebo's quote. Okay, so I have got a couple of questions here. I've got someone asking, what time does the seminar begin? It was at 7:30. Guys, I will be sending out a recording of the seminar for the ones that came on late as well, or if you want to go back over it again, I will be sending out a recording. What if you're a newbie and you have never run a marathon before? That's why we have the beginner stuff. So start off nice and slow, and we help you along the way. If you're a newbie, absolutely fantastic. Start off on the right foot, so to speak. Start off doing it correctly. If you start doing it correctly, and you know, this is going to help you train smarter, not harder, and you won't learn any bad habits, and it'll help you be able to train without being, you know, train and not get injured as well. If I turn off my mobile device, then you disappear as you are on my phone. Oh, thanks, Luke. Okay. Okay, first-time marathon runner. We've got Jason here, who's a first-time marathon runner, and the most I've run to date is 32. K's, how do you get past the wall? I hope I covered that, Jason. I know I did talk about that. Really, there are so many factors to that, and I know so many people that are in exactly the same boat as you. It really is about having the right training program, about setting yourself up from day one, about your nutrition, about your race day preparation, having that support and having that mental attitude. Like I said, we help you. If you decide to come along with one of our programs, we help you achieve all this. The last thing I want is anyone who trains under me to hit the wall or to not finish a race, okay? So, you know, we help you achieve all that sort of stuff. Living in Queensland and working full-time, also mum of 4 and 6-year-old. Lisa, you're the same as me, okay? I struggle running in this humidity and heat. Absolutely, I totally understand that, Lisa. I have exactly the same, and Lisa's just saying that she is a mum of she's got a 4 and a 6-year-old. I've actually got a 4 and a 6-year-old as well, and in Queensland at the moment it's extremely hot, and being a mum, I guess it's really hard to actually get up super early in the morning if you don't have anyone in the house to go running, but that is an option, and also some of the late night running. But that's what I tend to do, Lisa, is I try and either call someone in to help with you know, with the children early in the morning, or just to be in the house with the children early in the morning, or at night when it's cooled down a little bit as well. It is a struggle, but you can get past it. I can train in the middle of the day now. I just switch off and just get in there and train. Just make sure you're well and truly hydrated. Yes, we are going to have a recording of this webinar for all those that need it. Wow, we've got someone here who's got 6 weeks to go to Paris, and training has hit a bit of a roadblock. Okay, longest run has been 26 kilometres so far. 6 weekends to go. What kilometres and how many long runs should I do between now and 6th of April? This is my 3rd marathon in 8 months, so I should know, but it's the worst preparation I've ever had. You know what, Kai? I would slow down. Like I know that some people might cringe at me at this. I did 3 marathons within about 5 weeks. No, 3 marathons within, I think it was about 6 weeks. I can tell you now, I actually almost didn't even run in between each one, in all fairness. I'm not saying that because you've done it over 8 months, but you've done the prep. If you've done 3 marathons in 8 months, you already have those Ks under your belt. Just take it. Just don't try and put in the big miles now. You're going to end up burning out, and you're going to end up injuring yourself. You know, in this last 6 weeks, what you do now, you know, in terms of if you try and make the Ks, you know, do the Ks do too many Ks, it's not going to make a huge amount of difference. So just listen to your body. And don't try and push yourself too hard. You've already got those miles under your belt. You'll be perfectly fine, but just listen to your body and maybe just take a step back for a little while until you run that marathon, okay? We've been asked how to calculate those heart rate zones. I just didn't want to get into that right now on this marathon. I wanted to cover so much information on here. I do cover it in my training courses on how you can calculate those heart rate zones, and I go into major detail about that. You know what? I've had someone else ask here, is it okay to train on a treadmill as well as outside? This is due to having mainly young children and not always easy to get outside. This one actually could be one for you as well, Lisa. I know you were saying that you've got kiddies and you're training in Queensland. That's really, really hot. I know a very, very good marathon runner. Her name is Amanda Barlow. Amazingly inspirational woman. She runs mainly on treadmills because she does a lot of running on a ship. On a rig, on an oil rig. So she runs mainly, her training is on a treadmill. So, I mean, the only thing you're going to find with training for a marathon on a treadmill is probably the boredom factor. But if that's the only way you can do it, definitely go ahead and do it. Anything's, better than nothing. Okay, so we had Lisa, you missed the whole nutrition bit. It's okay, I will have a pre-recording of this as well. What should you eat if you starting your run within 30 minutes of waking? Just something really, really light, but do get something in your stomach because you don't want to go into depletion there. I've been known to go out for a run and not actually have anything in my stomach. That's not what you should be doing. You should be definitely trying to put something in light and train yourself to eat before you run. Many years ago, I really seriously could not eat before I did any race. It just made me feel ill. I ended up having to train myself, and I had to train myself just like you do in running. I had to introduce little bits now and again, introducing little foods, bits of food until eventually I could, wolf down something and head out the door. So that might be something to consider doing. Someone here was saying that when they run a marathon, they count down less than so many miles to go, less than so many miles to go. It makes feels less intense. So when you're running a marathon, it's like, I've only got 10 miles to go, or I've only got 10 Ks to go, and so on. Hey, whatever works to get you across the finish line, however you want to do it during that run. I mean, and it makes you feel better to do it, whether it being counting, okay, I've done 10 Ks, or whether it be counting, I've got 30 Ks or whatever left. 32 Ks left to go, whatever gets you across. Oh, we've got someone waiting for their runners high. You'll get there. Okay. All right, so I've had someone ask, marathon program 6 months away, when does the online program start? Listen, I'll have the program's available right now, but I'll be kicking off pretty much, with the webinars, with the group, with the support and everything, and giving you the membership access as from pretty much the end of next week. So plenty of time. And we'll have different people coming on at different times because some of the programs are 17 weeks, some of the programs are 20 weeks. Depends on when your marathon is. But I'm going to be supporting. I'm going to be still holding these webinars. You'll still be able to get on as soon as you've got your membership. So if your marathon's 6 months away, well, you get 6 months of webinars and more support and so on, and you start your program accordingly. And you can certainly come into the group and you can certainly ask for help on when you should start and what you should do as well. So there'll be plenty of time to get involved with the online marathon program as well. Does it start when you buy it or starts? No, it starts when you buy it, by the way. So as soon as you buy the program, by the way, you sign up tonight or you sign up in the next 24 hours with the webinar special. That's why it's the special price. The program won't be available or online until next week. I'm just getting it loaded up there now, but we will start the group. You'll be able to ask me any questions in that, but you won't actually get the program with everything else until sort of around about the middle of the next week. And then, even if your marathon's a year out, you've got it there. Okay? So it's no set time, date, and whatever else. Now, you might say, okay, you might start with the beginner one. and you might do your beginner marathon. And then down the track, you might actually go, hey, listen, I want to, go up and do the intermediate one, or I want to go up and do the advanced one. So you get the opportunity to do that as you go through as well. And we're all there to support you and to help you on your marathon journey along the way. Oops, sorry, I'm just going to got some more questions. I think that might be it. I think I've got to the end of the questions. Right. Oh no. Okay. Can you get the program if you're already training for a marathon with only 8 weeks to go? Yes, you can. But what we might do is we might have a conversation, Tanya, and we might look at what will work for you for the next 8 weeks. It might be slightly different than the set program, but happy to do that for you. At least you'll get the nutritional side of it, you'll get the pre-race stuff, and I'll be able to help you along the way. So it'll be interesting to see what you have done, and we'll be able to look at something with your next of your 8 weeks to go. But you might not, I'm not actually sure which one you'll be, whether you'd be a beginner, an intermediate, advanced. But what I suggest you do is, you get the program, you put your phone number in and request a call back, and we'll have a conversation about that. Do you have shorter programs? Because my first marathon is 8 weeks' time. I've been following a program for Running Group, but would be interested in your program. Listen, what I suggest you do is, if you are interested in the program, get the program, have the conversation with me, and we can work on what's going to work for your next 8 weeks. And then, listen, if this is your first marathon and you've only got 8 weeks to go, I can guarantee you after this marathon, you'll be looking out for your next marathon. And this is where you'll be able to use the program to the full 17 to 20 weeks as well. So we'd assess where you are, and then I'd look at the program, and if you've got 8 weeks left, we'd assess where you are now, and we'd work out where you should start to continue on with the program. And what that might mean is that I might, because like I said, I have got the program now, it's just not going to be in the membership site area until the next end of next week. So for all those ones that have marathons within like 8 weeks or so, then request the call. We'll set up the program for you, and we'll work out when you should start. I'll email it out to you so you don't have to log in for it at that particular time, so you can actually get started on it, in the next couple of days. So what did you say about training on treadmills and running outside? Okay, yeah, so if the only way you can get your training in is on a treadmill, do it. The only thing that I would say about running on treadmills and preparing for marathons on treadmills is the boredom factor. That's it. You're running indoors and you're on a treadmill. But I absolutely take my hat off to people that can sustain that for a period of time. I actually last year went to Chiang Mai, and whilst in the middle of marathon training, and a couple of the days there I managed to get out and run the streets of Chiang Mai, which was an interesting experience with the uneven surfaces and stuff like that. That's where my core workout came into into play. But there were many days that I had to do treadmill training, so I just got out there and ran on the treadmill, put my music on, and went for it. Really, really good for you for staying focused in that. And like I said, I know someone that's all they do. They only just train on treadmills, and they've been running heaps and heaps of marathons. I'm glad, Kai, and yes, I've just had someone say that I've lifted their spirits and they should speak to me every day between now and April. Fantastic. Well, you have almost the opportunity to, if you join and we go into the Facebook group and that. I am so passionate about marathons. I'm so passionate about getting everyone involved in them, helping people along their journey. As my information can help someone get across that finish line, that absolutely 100% makes my day. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for now. I think all the questions have been answered. Like I said, there's the link there. It's in the chat box. If you are unsure, of what program or whatever else, I have the facility there. Once you go, you click the button, you go through to PayPal, it's secure payment. Pay now, then you get taken to another page where you fill out your details. You put your name, your email address, and then you can tick which box you want, and then you can go unsure and leave your phone number. Okay. Either way, the program won't be sent out to you straight away unless you leave your phone number in that, and I can get onto calls with people within the next couple of days and assess whether you need to be emailed the program. But like I said, it's not actually going to be specifically online. for till around about the end of next week when my web person loads it online. That's why this is the webinar special. It's only $197 you save. You know, from the weekly plan, you save $100. You know, to get on board now, and I mean, I just really want to help you guys achieve your marathon goals. So if in doubt, make sure that you request the call and we can have a chat and decide what program works for you. And like I said, I mean, really there is no risk to you guys because you get a 30-day money back guarantee. If it's not what you want, if it doesn't work for you within the first 30 days, then we will refund you the money. I'm sure that won't be the case though. Okay, so I really look forward to helping you guys with your marathon journey, and like I said, if you've got any questions, please do either ask me questions on the Facebook page or give me an email. And have a good night and good luck with your marathon training journey. It has been an absolute pleasure.